Hello, everybody, and welcome to Behind the Scenes, where we deep dive into tools and techniques that can supercharge your online business. And today's topic, we are going to discuss tips on organizing your online business and why this looks different than in-person businesses, because this is something I see a lot of clients struggle with. As simple as it may sound, it can be overwhelming to organize and streamline and create a virtual environment for your online business, especially if you have remote team members. It looks a lot different when it comes to document storage and information storage and communication among teams. And that is something I work with a lot of my clients on. So I want to bring some tips for you guys in why it's important to organize your online business and tell you then some tips on how to organize your business a little bit better using tools like Google Workspace, ClickUp, and then why we should be tracking our goals and our finances to make it easier on us as business owners, because those two pieces I tend to see the most disorganized. And then we're going to talk about how you can organize those things within your ClickUp, or if you prefer to use another project management tool, you can always use Asana or Trello. A lot of the things that I show you in ClickUp can be easily duplicated in other project management tools, not always in Trello as much because it doesn't have as much functionality, but in Asana we can really mimic a lot. But let's jump into why it's important to organize your online business. First and foremost, this is probably the most obvious one, is efficiency and productivity. As an organized business, you operate more efficiently when you know where your digital files are, tasks, and processes. You're going to waste less time searching for information or figuring out what needs to be done next, which then boosts your productivity and will allow you to accomplish more in less time. There's actually a statistic that says on average, small to medium-sized business owners waste 2 to 3 hours a day searching for documents or information they need due to lack of organization. Now, can you imagine what you could be doing in those 2 to 3 hours to make your day more efficient? Plus, if you are also sending your employees or your team members or your contractors on these wild goose chases, that could be 2 to 3 hours that is coming out of your pocket to pay them, when it could have been a lot easier for them to find things if you had things organized. So that is why we need to make sure we know where things are. Everything has a place to live. And sometimes that can be very overwhelming to businesses, as well as if you are trying to manage tasks out of a spreadsheet or your email. It can also be super time consuming for you as the business owner. If you're delegating tasks, there's no clarity or visibility within what's getting done and what's not getting done. It's going to increase your time with project managing your team members. So that is also going to waste you time and money, because if you're paying someone hourly and it takes them longer to find stuff, plus you have to factor in your own hourly rate, because if you are taking the time to type out each time what projects need to happen or the steps or the due dates or things like that, instead of using templates or other tools that we're going to dive into later, you could be wasting up to 10 to 12 hours a week. So that's reason number one. And I kind of started to dive down the rabbit hole of like tips on organizing. So we will jump into more of those after we go through the reasons why. Your customer experience is going to be way better because you're going to be able to respond quicker. There's going to be so much more transparency on your team. You'll be able to respond quicker to customer inquiries or requests from clients because you will know where things are. Your team will know where things are. Everything is very clear and transparent. You'll be able to provide better information to your clients and deliver your services on time more often, which is just going to increase your customer satisfaction and help you build trust with your clients. Because if you're constantly guessing or you don't have a plan mapped out and you're just guessing on dates or your schedule, every time you tell a client, oh, it's going to be this or this date, or this is what we're going to do, you're going to lose a little bit of that client trust. And kind of mentioned this already, but team collaboration is going to be better if you are organized. And then we're going to talk about that with creating a virtual headquarters within ClickUp, because then everyone knows where to find things. It's easier to find documents and tasks, and everyone can be updated on the same page. You're less likely to have bottlenecks in your business or miscommunication errors. So when miscommunication errors happen or errors in general happen, it's just more time wasted. So that is usually going to increase when you have a tool like ClickUp to have organization for team collaboration, and as well as having an organized Google Drive, because I know plenty of people who waste time searching for things in a Google Drive or pinging someone to say, hey, where is this? For them to say, oh, it's actually on my drive. So it like wastes a lot of time back and forth, because maybe the share settings aren't right, or you don't have it on a public drive and it's on your personal drive, which that we'll get into more in the Google Drive or the Google Workspace part that I have, because I have some tips on how you can structure your remote team better in Google Workspace and how to prevent some of these time wasters, like going back and forth saying, hey, can you give me shared access? Or, hey, where does this live? Or I can't find this, or I can't do that. And so if you have contractors who work in different time zones, you could potentially be delaying your task or your like project steps by up to 2 days. So like if you have a contractor who's working overseas and maybe they're working at their set time, they can't get their piece to the next person until they get access to something in a Google Drive, but they ask the person a question because they don't have access to the proper document, and you could be delaying it by up to 24 hours because they're working in different time zones, which I see a lot actually happening on my remote teams. And it can be so easily prevented by using shared drives or um, ensuring that as part of onboarding, everyone has access to the appropriate documents and making sure those are in your procedures when you create documents. The next one is for a team that's organized, you want to set and track your goals more effectively. So this way we can monitor your progress and make adjustments. So it's better. An organized business is going to have those goals laid out. It's going to be somewhere that everyone can see them. Everyone's working towards them. It's not just in some pen and paper somewhere that you lose. We're going to make sure that our goals are top of mind so that we can be working towards them every day and actually tracking the goals, not just setting them and forgetting them. And then financial management is another reason you want to be organized, because if you have your documents and your financial records organized, it's going to make things run so much more smoothly. You can make better financial decisions, prepare reports, and then you're not wasting time also when it comes down to tax time. So that's going to help you reduce your stress, and all of these things that if you're not organized will cause you to have stress within your business, which is what can lead to burnout, because you're overwhelmed. You're not sure what you're supposed to be working on. You're not sure what projects are completed. There's really no sense of control in your business. So once you get an organization into your business, it's going to help reduce your stress and reduce your overwhelm, because it's not everything so unpredictable day to day. I know that what my tasks are. I know what my to-dos are. I know where things are. It's not going to cause you that overwhelm. So ways to get organized in your online business. So using something for document storage and document management is going to be so important. And I always recommend Google Workspace for my clients because it's cloud-based. It can be accessed anywhere, and it allows you, if you have a small business, to work with people within your domain. So if you own your domain, like I own alphaoperations.com, that's what the domains are for my workspace. So if I have a team member come on, I can create a second email, and I can make sure that all my share settings are set to anyone within the organization can access certain documents, folders, or spaces. Because I know that that's another thing that causes the teams a lot of headache, is making sure we have quality control and that outside contractors aren't accessing information that they shouldn't, or certain team members shouldn't be accessing information that they shouldn't. So those settings can be adjusted and changed and managed. So organizing your documents in Google as a workspace, that's one tip I have, is if you have team members, it's definitely worth the $6 or $7 a month it might cost you to add in another um, email to help with preventing any blocks when it comes to being able to find the documents, being able to have access to the documents. And you definitely want to make sure when you're setting up your Google Workspace, you set it up with levels and hierarchy in mind. I'm working on a project right now with a client that they have so many duplicates, they have so many subfolders, and it's very confusing for their team. No one can find anything, things are getting put in the wrong spot. If you standardize things like that, you can, one, make it easier for your team to know where things are supposed to be saved. You create a culture of, okay, I need to create documents in this shared folder, because a lot of the times what I see happen is team members will make document spreadsheet slides on their personal drive and then not make them into the shared workspace or the shared folder. So they'll just create the file and it's not shared with anyone properly. That happens quite a bit. Again, holding back the project, holding back and creating an unnecessary bottleneck within the process. So you want to make sure that's included in your SOPs and in your procedures, that they need to be creating those files and documents within the shared folder or shared workspace if you go with the shared workspace route, shared drive, I should say. And then making sure you outline and organize how you want your folders to be sorted. I like to make sure we have our highest level folders at the top. So, financials, HR, operations, marketing, clients, and then we go from we can drill down from there for subfolders. We don't want to be having duplicates. You want to be very cognizant of your naming convention so that you can find and search things easier. And you want to remember that also when you're searching or another team member is searching for things, it might not populate where it lives. So having, a naming convention that says client name with the document, or something that really will signify to whoever's searching for it if they are new to the company or are looking for something specific, it will denote that and make it easier to search and find in the Google Drive. So those are some of my tips with organizing those, because we have seen this come up in a lot of our remote teams where it's just a huge setback because they're so disorganized within their Google Workspace. And then my other tip to get organized is building out your virtual headquarters within ClickUp. And that is also going to help you with your goals for clarity and helping you organize your finances. Now you might be saying, like, Emma, I can use QuickBooks to organize my finances, because I do too. I have QuickBooks, but I'm not going into QuickBooks every day like I am with ClickUp. And yes, I could put my goals in a spreadsheet or on my whiteboard, which I do put them on my whiteboard. I actually have this bad boy as I reach for it to remind me of weekly goals. I don't know if you could see because of the blur and it's not going to register. It says my goals, and then it's weekly future plans, and I'll do my long-term quarterly goals and then my monthly top goals here, and the weekly goals will always feed into those goals, and then personal tasks and to-dos. So I always write them on a whiteboard because I see that every day and I can visualize it. Whereas in ClickUp, I will use the goals to keep track of the historical data so that I can go back and review my year, review the quarter, and I have a goal tracker that I implement in our CEO spaces or in our CEO folders within each ClickUp build. So the statuses are by month, and then the statuses are set by state of the goal. And then we have a custom column for which month we want the goal to be happening in. And then that way we can break down that task or goal into subtasks for assigning out easier or tracking progress, along with due dates, so that everything goes back into home screens appropriately. So that's why building out and using something like ClickUp is going to be so helpful for you and your team, is because you can work out of that home space. You're not guessing on tasks. You're not guessing where information is. So we set our goals within ClickUp. We also set up our finances in ClickUp. And I give this template out to our back pocket ops members and our ClickUp Bill clients, but we have an expense tracker. And the nice thing about the expense tracker, and something that I just recently updated with the expense tracker, is a column, a custom column with a drop down menu that will say what type of expense or cost this is associated with. So I'll track my monthly and miscellaneous. I don't always track my miscellaneous expenses. That's what I use. Um, Credit Karma, Mint, whatever. No, what is it? Mint? Mint. I use Mint to track like my personal spending, and then QuickBooks for my um business spending, so that I can see where miscellaneous expenses are popping up in my ClickUp expense tracker. I will track reoccurring or large payments, so that I can see a clear overview of our financials. So I can put in there, based on a category, if they're subcontractors or software, whether it's personal or business, so I can get a overall good look at my finances as a whole instead of separating them out. But I can separate them out within ClickUp because I have the custom columns and filters in place. So I can filter the data a lot easier within ClickUp, and I can manipulate it in a way that is more beneficial than it is in QuickBooks. So QuickBooks does give me that information um, as I need it, but it's remembering to go in and do it. Whereas I know those finances are set up in the ClickUp sheet, and it also becomes super helpful when it comes to due dates for payments, especially my annual payments. I put those in because I am more likely to forget an annual payment, and I know a lot of people are, than I am a monthly or weekly payment, because I see them coming out of my bank account where annually I sometimes can forget. So I set those due dates, give myself a warning, it shows up. I'm able to then look, okay, I'll see it on my home screen. Dubsado is coming out in February. I'll set myself a due date. It'll come. I usually set it like 2 to 3 days before it actually withdraws from my account, because that will trigger me to go into when I do my finances on Friday. Make sure we just have enough in the bank account to cover that in the right account. And I also track where the payments are coming from, whether it be PayPal, my credit card, or our checking account, which checking account it's coming out of. Because we have multiple accounts for different operating expenses, because we practice profit first. So that comes into play. So like if I get a new credit card, because I had that happen, I could simply go to my expense tracker and say, okay, this is all the costs or expenses I have that are associated with this card. I need to go through and update. It's not me wasting a bunch of time guessing. And yes, it takes time up front to set these up, but you will thank yourself, because I've had many clients thank me for setting up their finance tracker this way, so that they don't waste a bunch of time later saying, oh, I don't know what expense is associated with this card. I don't know when this is coming out. So it just provides a lot of visibility for you and for your team, because if you have an executive assistant or a personal assistant, you can easily direct them to this list. Really, it becomes a database so that they can find the information for themselves, which comes back to why a virtual headquarters in ClickUp is so crucial for success. And you can duplicate some of this, yes, into other tools. But what I like about ClickUp is, since we talked about Google Workspace, we can embed a lot of those documents and a lot of those spreadsheets and slides right within a ClickUp view itself. So I could be working out of a ClickUp list and go right into the embedded drive or document or spreadsheet or slide and update it right there, or I can find the information I need if I need to, so that it also becomes an increase in productivity, because I'm not leaving the tool that I'm working in to go find this document. It's already linked to the list I'm operating out of, which is something our clients love when we do ClickUp builds, because then also if there's a new team member, it's right there. They don't have to go searching for it. They may have to request access, but it becomes a lot smoother of a process than going back and forth, or trying to find it in the drive, because it can be confusing. So by having your tasks, your projects, and everything live within one central spot, you're wasting less time trying to find, what do I need to work on? What projects are where? What's the status? What is my team members working on? Because I'll set up in our virtual headquarters information for the team. So it's like the database portion so that things can be easily found. If they search for it or if they need to access something for the company, there's a whole bunch of team resources within a folder like branding information, offer information, affiliate link information, um, anything that you would need to know about the overarching business. But then I use ClickUp to create team member dashboards or team management dashboards. So one thing that I can see is overdue lists for specific people, um, or their week. So since you can't see other people's home screens, you can create a custom list widget to pull tasks together to see what's on their plate for the week, to see if I'm like overbearing or not overbearing, but if they're over or underutilized as a resource on the team based on the number of tasks and how long I think each task will take to complete. So that makes it cuts down on my project management time because I can quickly see like in 2 to 3 minutes who's overdue on what, and then I can follow up. And usually most of the time I'll ping them and I'll just say, hey, is this actually overdue or not? Because sometimes it's a false overdue. They actually have completed it, but they forgot to go in and check it off. So it really does make things easier. And if you get your team in the habit of commenting or providing those updates inside of ClickUp, it's going to make it easier for you as well. Because if you click on the task, you can see, okay, this person left me a note saying, oh, this is stuck because XYZ. That's why I updated the due date. So making sure you have that transparency and that data and that clarity is going to be really beneficial if you are running a service-based business, to provide that client experience or be able to combat questions, because I know people don't like to think about it, but sometimes disagreements happen in a service-based business. And if you are tracking your projects and you're tracking comments and updates and things like that within ClickUp or in another project management tool, you will be able to come back to that client and say, here's when we did what, here's what my team did. It's all historically documented, and it's going to save you a bunch of time when you need to go through that, because I have had to do that with my own clients, and I had to do that for my clients because of the services they provided. The client wanted to argue things were not getting done or blame my client, for things not going according to plan, but we had all the data to combat what they were saying, and say like, this is what happened actually with our records and with what you said to us. So it provides all of that, and that's important to think about as well, um, as a service provider, because that's the truth. And the behind the scenes of it is that it's not always sunshine and rainbows when you're working with a client. So you want to make sure you're tracking things to save your own butt as well. So those are our tips. If you want to learn more about organizing your online business or setting up a project management tool or managing your remote team, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and so that you can see more of our content, and take a look in the resources below, because we do have our resources page linked below to help you with identifying waste in your business. Our guide to thriving is also linked on that page, and then a link to our Back Pocket Ops membership. So if you are really interested about getting your business organized and you are interested in some of the templates and setups that I mentioned within this video, you can go check out our Back Pocket Ops membership, where you have access to those templates and certain trainings to help you set up the projects, or you can get a hold of us and we can help you build your ClickUp from the ground up. And also, we will look at making sure your automations are set up correctly through Zapier, and that we can actually do a lot more organizing through Zapier, because we can set up Zaps between Google Workspace, ClickUp, and other tools to automate some of that organization once we standardize your naming convention and your hierarchy and structure within your Google Drive. So thanks for tuning in today, and we will see you next week for Behind the Scenes.